Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk on the hypersensitivity reactions. If you see the immune system of the host, the main function of the immune system of the host is to eliminate the antigens which are entering into the body by means of subclinical or local inflammatory response. But sometimes this process will be exaggerated and results in damage to the host tissues and organs. And these are collectively known as hypersensitivity reactions. And about this, I am going to talk today. See the case scenario how these hypersensitivity reactions would present. A 32 years old business executive was brought to the emergency department with breathlessness, repeated hitting sensation in the head, and tightness in the chest, followed by an intramuscular injection of penicillin. He had the history of being injected by penicillin dose 1 month before for treatment of cellulitis. Case was suspected as hypersensitivity reaction. Intravenous antihistamines and intramuscular adrenaline were given. Put him on oxygen also for breathing. The patient recovered completely on the same day. A small dose of penicillin was given intradermally, and wheel and flare reaction was found 20 minutes later and confirmed the local anaphylaxis. So this is a case of emergency condition like suffering with breathlessness, repeated heating sensation, head and tightness in the chest, followed by the intramuscular injection of penicillin. The same medicine was given 1 month before to treat condition like cellulitis, and now the person suffering with all these clinical manifestations. So the antihistamines were given, and also the adrenaline was given, oxygen also considered to make the person to recover. An intradermal injection of penicillin drug shows wheel and flare reaction, which is nothing but local anaphylaxis after 20 minutes later. So with this history, we can confirm that it would be a case of anaphylaxis. So now we'll start the what is the what are the different types of hypersensitivity reactions and how to manage them. So the concept of hypersensitivity, as I mentioned, the purpose of immune response is to eliminate the antigen, but sometimes this immune response becomes abnormal, and this exaggerated immune response leads to tissue damage, death of host. And historical aspects, if you see the first time the Prince of Monaco identified the jellyfish when the people are exposed to the jellyfish, especially among the sea bathers. Charles Richet in 1902 identified that the toxicity of sea anemone poison on dogs. So when the sea anemone poison was given to the dogs, the how the toxicity responsible for death of those animals were identified by Charles Richet. And Warner Perkwitt given the name allergy for this particular kind of events occurring followed by exposure to certain antigens or certain substances. And if you see the immunity versus hypersensitivity, the difference is in case of immunity, the immunity is concerned with what happens to the antigen. That means when the antigen enters into the body, if the immune system is able to remove the antigen by producing the specific antibodies or by means of immunological process, which provides the resistance to the individual against that particular antigen. So in case of immunity, our concern is what is happening to the antigen. But in case of hypersensitivity, uh, this is concerned about what is happening to the host. So when the immune system is trying to remove the antigen from the body, the inflammatory reaction which is occurring because of the reaction between the antigen and immune system of the host result in some immunological reactions manifested in the form of dreadful condition. that is nothing but hypersensitivity. So in case of hypersensitivity, our concern is what is happening to the host followed by antigen entry. So by definition, it's an altered state of immune response to an antigen or a hapten in a sensitized host, resulting in an unexpected exaggerated reaction which results in tissue damage, leads to disease or death. So this is nothing but an immune response, but it's altered type followed by antigen or hapten in whom it's not in normal individuals. When the people are already sensitized, when the people are already sensitized, and now if they get exposed to the same antigen and or hapten, results in unexpected exaggerated immunological responses which may cause for the severe clinical manifestations or death of the individuals. So here the question is, what do you mean by sensitized host? So the person who exposed to the same antigen 2 to 3 weeks before, and now the followed by exposure to the second dose of antigen, if they are showing the exaggerated and unexpected results, then that will be considered as an immunological response. So the person who exposed the same antigen 2 to 3 weeks before, responsible for production of certain antibodies which results in sensitization of the host. So how to classify these hypersensitivity reactions? There's a traditional classification is there, and one more Coombs and Gell classification also there. So the traditional classification, it's one is immediate hypersensitivity, hypersensitivity, which is mediated by the B cell or antibody. And here the examples are anaphylaxis, atopy, antibody mediated cell damage, Arthur's reaction, and serum sickness. Another variety of traditional hypersensitivity is a delayed type of hypersensitivity, where the clinical manifestations are occur 24 to 72 hours after the second dose of antigen stimulus. And here the T cells gets activated and seen in two types. One is infection type. The best example is tuberculin reaction. The next one is contact dermatitis type. But about all these things we will discuss in the due course. And the properties and the differences between immediate and delayed type of hypersensitivity reactions, if you see, type 1, 2, 3 comes under immediate, whereas type 4 comes under delayed type of hypersensitivity. And time to manifest for immediate hypersensitivity is minutes to hours, whereas for delayed hypersensitivity comes around days. And the type of cells participating in immediate hypersensitivity are B cells, whereas in delayed type of hypersensitivity, those are T lymphocytes. And immediate hypersensitivity can be sensitized by any route, and most of the times parenteral route, but delayed type of hypersensitivity, the sensitization in the individual occurs when the antigen enters into the body by intradermal route. And immediate hypersensitivity, passive transfer with the serum from a sensitized host is possible, but in case of delayed type of hypersensitivity, that the passive transfer through the serum is not possible. And desensitization process is easy in case of immediate hypersensitivity, but it's very short lived, whereas in delayed type of hypersensitivity, desensitization process is a bit difficult, but once it attains, it's long lasting. And in case of immediate type of hypersensitivity, we can see the wheal and flare reaction, whereas in delayed type of hypersensitivity reactions, we can see erythema and induration. And Gell and Coombs classification, if you see, there's a type 1, that is anaphylaxis and atopy comes under type 1 hypersensitivity reactions. Cytotoxic or cell stimulating hypersensitivity reactions comes under type 2, and immune complex mediated hypersensitivity reactions comes under type 3. Delayed or cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions comes under 4, and a modification in type 2 hypersensitivity reactions is considered as type 5 hypersensitivity reactions. And if you see the type 1 hypersensitivity, in case of type 1 hypersensitivity, the reaction between the free antigens and self-fixed Ig antibodies will occur, and these self-fixed Ig antibodies which are present on basophils or mast cells which results in the release of chemical mediators followed by attachment to the second dose of antigen, which results in degranulation and finally responsible for the typical clinical manifestations. So as I mentioned already, this is mediated by Ig antibody because of its typical property, that is homocytotropism. Means these antibodies, IgE antibodies, have got the, especially the Fc portion of Ig antibody has got the receptors on the mast cell surface or basophil surface. So when these Ig antibodies are produced, they get attached and causes for the sensitization. So that's the main reason, the main property make them the people to undergo for hypersensitivity reactions. It may occur in two forms. One is anaphylaxis and another is atopy. Now we will see anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis means here the immune response occurs between the antigen and immune system of the host, which may not produce any kind of protection. That's why anaphylaxis means it's an immune response against an antigen without protection. Usually we expect some protection when the immune system is exposed to an antigen by producing antibodies, which is not possible here. And this is an acute condition and potentially a fatal condition which involves many systems in the body. And the inducers for this anaphylaxis, also known as allergens, like sera and vaccines. Sera are commonly used for treating certain conditions, toxin mediated diseases or the viral diseases. And venom from bees, wasp and ants, eggs, milk and seafoods, drugs like penicillin, vancomycin and local anesthetic agents, all these can induce anaphylactic reaction. And now if you see the mechanism of anaphylaxis, see this, once the antigen when entered the body, it will be taken up by the antigen presenting cell and it will be processed and then subjected to the T lymphocyte. The T lymphocyte undergoes to T helper 2 lymphocytes, which can produce certain cytokines like interleukin 4, 5, 9 and 13. Among them, interleukin 4 is responsible for the production of specific type of antibodies to that particular antigen from the B lymphocytes. So this interleukin 4 will direct the B lymphocyte to produce Ig antibodies against the allergen. This process is known as switching over. So the switching over of the B lymphocyte is possible by the interleukin 4 produced by the T helper 2 cells. So once these antibodies are released from the B lymphocytes, they get attached onto the surface of the mast cells or basophils depending on the location. And now the individual is considered as a sensitized individual. This sensitized individual, when they get exposed to the second dose of antigen, and this antigen, which is free antigen, will binds to the cell-fixed antibody that's on mast cells or basophils, and the reaction between this antigen and antibody causes for membrane damage to these granulocytes results in degranulation. This degranulation responsible for release of mediators of anaphylaxis, which are responsible for the clinical manifestations. And if you see the primary mediators like histamine and serotonin are responsible for increased vascular permeability and smooth muscle contraction and increased capillary permeability and edema, burning and itching, and also the hyperemia, the redness of the involved area, all are seen because of histamine and serotonin action. And chemotactic factors like eosinophil chemotactic factors and neutrophil chemotactic factors are produced, causes for recruitment of eosinophils and neutrophils to the site of inflammatory process. And certain proteases also produced and responsible for bronchial mucosal secretions and degradation of blood vessels and basement membranes of lungs are possible. And secondary mediators like prostaglandins and thromboxane are produced, causes for bronchoconstriction, vasodilatation, and platelet aggregation. And this platelet aggregation causes for the microthrombi formation. Bronchoconstriction causes for decreased oxygenation to the lungs. Next one is SRSA, otherwise called slow releasing substance of anaphylaxis, and bradykinin are produced, responsible for increased vascular permeability and bronchoconstriction. Certain cytokines like interferon gamma and alpha are produced. Interleukin 1 and tumor necrosis factor alpha all are produced and responsible for their own kind of clinical manifestation. And these clinical manifestations are mainly due to smooth muscle contraction, vasodilatation, and increased vascular permeability. And all these put together are responsible for itching of scalp, skin, and tongue. These are the first symptoms which you can observe in the patient. And also the flushing of the skin because of the histamine effect, nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain, diarrhea also will be there. Bronchospasm is the main dangerous thing, and especially the laryngeal edema will cause for the choking like effect, and decreased coagulability of the blood because of the increased aggregation of platelets. People may succumb to hypotension and cardiac arrhythmias. Abnormal beatings of the heart are seen. And another thing is the cutaneous anaphylaxis. This is a skin test to demonstrate type 1 hypersensitivity. What to do here is a small dose of a suspected antigen has to be given intradermally to the sensitive to an individual. If that individual is sensitized to that particular antigen which we are going to test, it results in the formation of local wheal and flare reaction. This is known as anaphylaxis, and this is more useful to identify an allergen in case of atopy and anaphylaxis. And passive cutaneous anaphylaxis, this is mainly to detect human IgG antibody, which is also has got homocytotropism like IgE antibody, especially IgG4 antibody has got this heterocytotropism, and this is in vivo method for detection of these IgG4 antibodies. Here what to do is a small amount of antibody has to be given intradermally, uh, and after 4 to 24 hours, antigen and dye with Evans blue, just nothing, Evans blue has to be given intravenously. And then you can see bluing at the site of intradermal injection of antibody. That means the antigen and dye which has been given intravenously reaches to that particular area where the antibody was given, and combined with this particular antigen and dye results in bluing at the site of intradermal injection. These are all due to the vasodilatation and increased capillary permeability. Is how we can demonstrate the passive cutaneous anaphylaxis. And another thing is anaphylactide reaction. And here, if we know that anaphylaxis is produced by IgE antibody, but here anaphylactide reaction is not mediated by IgE antibody. Instead of that, it will be mediated by the complement components like C3A and C5A, which are called anaphylatoxins, followed by the intravenous injection of peptone, trypsin, drugs, and certain contrast media being used in radiology, which are all can activate the complement pathway with release of these anaphylatoxins, and also the bradykinin, and finally results in basophil and mast cell degranulation. So in this anaphylactic reaction, we can see all the clinical manifestations resembling an anaphylaxis, but mechanism of action is different. Treatment is a medical emergency. Adrenaline or epinephrine has to be given subcutaneously or intramuscular route to normalize the cardiac abnormalities. antihistamines has to be given to reduce the effect of histamines, and airway clearance has to be given to avoid the laryngeal edema, and supportive therapy according to the clinical manifestations have to be considered, and desensitization of these individuals has to be considered depending on the type of antigen for which the people are showing these hypersensitivity reactions. And the next one is atopy, which is literal meaning for atopy is strangeness, and which is coined by the Koka in 1923. So this is a familial tendency to respond immunologically to many common and natural allergens with massive production of IgE antibodies. That means whenever we get exposed to the common antigens like road dust, house dust, pollen, animal dander, these are all the very common, or cereal dust, vegetable dust, all are very common antigens for which we are getting exposed in day-to-day practice. Even then, when you get exposing to that particular kind of antigens, there will be lot of production of IgE antibodies. These IgE antibodies are responsible for the clinical manifestations. The people especially who are suffering with IgA deficiency will suffer more with atopic reactions. And this is all because of increased efficacy of interleukin 4 to produce large numbers of IgE antibody. You all know that again, the IL-4 is an cytokine responsible for switching of B lymphocyte to produce the concerned antibodies related to the antigen. And this is atopy is a chronic, when in contrast to the anaphylaxis, which is acute, is recurrent. Anaphylaxis is not recurrent, but atopy is a recurrent. Atopy is non-fatal, whereas anaphylaxis is fatal, and it produces local reaction, which is systemic reactions in case of anaphylaxis. So hay fever and asthma are the two important conditions where we can see this kind of atopic reactions. And the atopens means the allergens which are responsible for atopic reactions are known as atopens. These atopens are responsible for the clinical manifestations by different routes. So some are by means of inhalation, which are like dust allergens, pollen, ragweed, animal dander, house and cereal dust, molds and vegetable dust, all entered the body by means of inhalation and responsible for the production of large numbers of the Ig antibodies. And food allergens like chocolates, wheat, egg, pineapple, strawberry, mushroom, shellfish, and prawn, all these can enter the body by means of ingestion and responsible for their atopic reactions. Skin allergens like metals by means of contact can produce this kind of clinical manifestations. Drugs like penicillin and sulfonamides again causes for this one. And the physical contact like sunlight or exposure to extremes of cold or heat also responsible for this kind of clinical manifestations. And clinical features, the conjunctivitis, that's inflammation of the conjunctiva, inflammation of the nasal mucosa, results in redness and continuous watering from these two areas. Asthmatic condition responsible for the severe breathlessness because of bronchoconstriction. You can see the urticaria on the skin. Yes, in this photograph you can see the urticaria, and also gastrointestinal symptoms. Here you can see the eye, the how the even lid pulp, even the eyelids also got inflamed because of allergic manifestations. And in the next eye, you can see the severe edema where the person is not able to open his right eye. And urticaria, of course, you can observe here. And atopy is transferable through the serum passively, which can be demonstrated by Prosnitz-Kushner reaction. This is to demonstrate the special affinity of Ig antibody for the skin cells. Here what to do is serum from Kushner was collected. This Kushner he is suffering with the gastrointestinal manifestations with the consumption of cooked fish. So he is the sufferer of with the allergy followed by consumption of cooked fish. So the serum has to be collected from this particular person, and it has to be again collected, and 24 hours later the cooked fish was given intradermally to the prosthetes. So the serum for Kushner was collected and it will be given to the prosthetes, and 24 hours later cooked fish, that is antigen, will be given intradermal to the prosthetes, where you can see the wheel and flare reaction. So this is how we can demonstrate. So actually the prosthetes was not exposed to the, not consumed the cooked fish, only Kushner exposed it, and when he got exposed because of the allergy, Ig antibodies were produced and these were collected and given to prosthetes. And once this person received, the prosthetes received this serum, the antibodies are transferred to the individual. So whenever the cooked fish was given to the prosthetes intradermally, 24 hours later, given mean receiving that serum from the Kushner, the reaction between these two antigen antibodies results in wheel and flare reaction in the prosthetes. And detection in vivo tests like scratch test, prick test, and dermal test are there. Here what to do is on the screen we have to make scratches over the skin, and we have to apply the antigen to be tested. So once you apply the antigen, there you can see the wheel and flare reaction. And in spite of making scratches over the skin, we have to take a needle and dip it in the antigen to be tested, and make a prick on the forearm and mark the area and see for the wheel and flare reaction. There's a prick test to be done. So with this prick test, with the small area, we can test many number of antigens. And another thing is, as usual, intradermal test, the specified quantity of antigen to be given by means of intradermal route, and then you have to see for wheel and flare reaction. An in vitro test like radio allergosorbent test, where we can quantify the total number of Ig antibodies, and this can be done even by ELISA method also. By this method we can quantify the total Ig antibodies which are responsible for this particular hypersensitivity reactions. And prevention, avoid allergens, that's the most important thing. And should not take the self medication, always have to prefer the doctor prescribed medications. And allergy shots to be given. Allergy shots means the allergens has to be mixed up with the oily adjuvant. Once you mix the oily adjuvant with the allergens, it's able to produce IgG antibodies rather than IgE antibodies. Individually, allergens can produce IgE antibodies, but once you mix with oily adjuvant, they can produce IgG antibodies. These IgG antibodies, especially IgG4 antibody, will combine with the cell surface, they can occupy the receptors which are meant for IgE antibody on basophils or mast cells. So once these receptors for IgE antibody on the mast cells and basophils are occupied by the IgG antibody, the combination of allergen to cell fixed IgE antibody will be prevented, followed by exposure, followed by exposure, which results in degranulation and other, which won't results in degranulation, and there won't be any clinical manifestations. Next treatment is diethyl carbamazine can be given to avoid the platelet aggregation, and antihistamines to be given, epinephrine, and sodium chromoglycate. This is mast cell membrane stabilizer. So once the mast cells are stabilized, followed by exposure to the antigen, this uh, degranulation will not occur. Once the degranulation won't occur, there is no possibility for the occurrence of clinical manifestations either in the atopy or anaphylaxis, mainly in atopy. And theophylline acts as a very good bronchodilator. Corticosteroids will reduce the inflammatory process, and atropines will reduce the unwanted secretions from the mucosal surfaces. So that's about type 1 hypersensitivity. And number 2 is, next one is type 2 or cytotoxic hypersensitivity. Here the host tissue injury is mediated by IgG or sometimes IgM. And how these IgG antibodies are produced? These IgG antibodies are produced against host cell surface antigens, like in case of blood group, against the blood group antigens, antibodies will be produced, or against the Rh antigens, antibodies are produced, and exogenous antigens absorbed onto the RBCs. When the exogenous antigens like drugs or any other substances, if they get absorbed onto the RBCs, the surface antigenic structure of RBCs gets altered, and that will be recognized by the immune system as a foreign cell, and the antibodies would be produced. But these antibodies acts on the RBCs itself against the antigens, and the antigens present in the RBCs finally results in cell lysis. And next one is extracellular matrix antigens. So the antibodies which are produced against all these substances can responsible for cytotoxicity, and it will be mediated by the complement activation or antibody or autoantibody mediated action. You can see here in this, if you see the first one, the RBCs blue colored antigens are natural antigens present on the RBC. So if there is any mismatch of blood in this particular group, for example, if you give the A group blood to the B group individual where the antibodies are present, so these antibodies acts on the A antigens present on its RBC surface. So this combination, the antibodies against the A blood group antigens, and the reaction between the A blood group antigens or antibodies against the A blood group antigens results in the complement activation. This complement activation may produce membrane attack complex, which is responsible for the cell lysis. This is one aspect. Another thing is, it's the complement activation also produces C3A and C5A, which are anaphylatoxins responsible for severe inflammation and finally results in damage to the cells. And also its complement activation produces C3B, which is also known as opsonin and responsible for opsonization. That's a phagocytic cells will engulf vigorously, and they will be engulfed. All the RBCs will be engulfed, results in lysis of the cell. So like this, the antigen antibody reaction on the surface of an RBC responsible for either the lysis of the cell or the severe inflammation due to this particular reaction. And if you see the same way, if the same RBCs are seen with any drugs on the surface, if the drugs are there, it's a drug induced, in case of drug induced hemolytic anemia, the same whatever the drug you give, that will be absorbed onto the RBC surface, and it gives the new antigenic structure to the surface of the RBCs. So the antibodies which are produced against this drug act again on the drug which is present on the surface of the blood cell. So while it's reacting its antigen presenting on RBC surface, the antibodies against the drug results in lysis of the RBCs, final results in hemolytic anemia. So transfusion reactions, erythroblastosis fetalis, like Rh incompatibility, all are due to the cytotoxicity of type 2 hypersensitivity reactions. And cellular dysfunction, the autoimmune hemolytic anemia, and pemphigus vulgaris, Graves disease, and myasthenia gravis, and Goodpasture syndrome, all are due to the production of autoantibodies against the cells of an individual, results in cell damage. And this is Rh incompatibility, where the first baby can escape, whereas the second baby, because of the presence of antibodies, may not escape and results in erythroblastosis fetalis. It's a hemolytic disease of newborn. And the next one is type 3 hypersensitivity or immune complex mediated hypersensitivity. Here, the hypersensitivity is due to the excess formation of immune complexes, which initiates the inflammatory response due to the complement activation leading to tissue injury. So, here, what will happen is uh, whenever the antigen enter into the body, the immune antibodies will be produced by the immune system, and the resulting antibody will combine with the antigen and forms the immune complexes. And these immune complexes, if they are in small number, will be removed by the immunologically active cells or by the spleen by scavenging mechanism. But if these immune complexes are more in number, then those particular organs are not able to remove those immune complexes, finally results in activation of the complement to remove them. And this complement activation, because of their different products produced by complement activation, results in tissue damage. So the reason for this is the exposure of immune system to large doses of antigens for longer period is responsible for this one. So when the immune system exposed to large doses of antigens for longer period, especially in case of repeated contact with molds and plant products, and people who are suffering with chronic infections like leprosy, malaria, and autoimmune diseases, in these conditions, people may get exposed to the antigen for longer periods with large doses, which results in formation of many number of immune complexes, which results in the complement activation, finally causes for clinical manifestations. So here you can see the immune complexes which are formed, gets deposited on the endothelial surface of the blood vessel, and activation of and causes for activation of the complement in the blood, which results in the production of C3A and C5A, which are anaphylatoxins. These anaphylatoxins will attract the neutrophil to phagocytose them. Since they are very big immune complexes, these macrophages, that's no neutrophils, are not able to remove them, and so the resulting recruited neutrophils will release large numbers of lytic enzymes, which can lead to tissue damage, which is known as frustrated phagocytosis. This is known as frustrated phagocytosis. That means the cells were recruited for the phagocytosis purpose, but they are unable to do that, and they get frustrated. And that's why it's known as frustrated phagocytosis, which finally results in vasculitis. And this vasculitis is the hallmark of this particular disease. And this is seen in two forms. One is localized form, another is a systemic form. Let us see the what is localized form of type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. It's known as Arthur's reaction, on the name of N.M. Arthus. Here we can demonstrate by repeated intradermal injections of antigen, which results in immune complex formation, which fix the complement and results in inflammatory response. The same thing which I already mentioned, but followed by the insect bites and followed by the desensitization process in case of atopy or anaphylaxis, and in the process of vaccination, and by means of inhalation of actinomyces species continuously, which results in farmer's lung, and inhalation of pigeon feces, which may result in bird fancier's lung. So whatever it may be, either farmer's lung or bird fancier's lung, what will happen is, because of the deposition of immune complexes on blood vessels of lung, the people will suffer with lung damage because of inflammatory response. So this is one kind of Arthur's reaction, farmer's lung or bird fanciers lung are the examples for Arthur's reaction. And systemic form of type 3 reaction seen in the blood vessels of glomerular basement membrane, which results in nephrotic syndrome. And this systemic form of type 3 reaction uh, occurs in synovial membrane, which results in rheumatoid arthritis. And the same form of type 3 hypersensitivity is seen in heart, which is manifested in the form of myocarditis. So this systemic form, the reason for this is when the people are get exposed to large doses of foreign serum or foreign sera, which may result in systemic form of type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, which is known as serum sickness. So what will happen in serum sickness is when you give the large doses of horse anti-tetanus serum, and this horse anti-tetanus serum is derived from an animal which is not human being. So the proteins of the horses are present in this anti-tetanus serum. So these proteins, when given to the human beings in the form of anti-tetanus serum, and those proteins will be recognized by the recipient immune system as foreign antigen, and immunological reactions will bound. And this immunological reaction, that means the antibodies are produced again against the anti-tetanus serum. So these antibodies will combine with the anti-tetanus serum which is present in the body and responsible for the activation of the complement, which results in all the clinical manifestations. Since it's a systemic form, you can see the systemic clinical manifestations like fever, rash, lymphadenopathy, and splenomegaly, arthritis of fingers and toes, proteinuria, and hematuria are seen. Blood in the urine and proteins in the urine are seen. And the type 4 hypersensitivity reaction, this is very important. I have to follow very carefully. And when the antigen is engulfed by the phagocytic cell, otherwise called antigen presenting cell. So on the left side corner, start from the APC, and once this phagocytic cell is not able to kill the phagocytosed antigen or microbe, after processing, it will be subjected to the T lymphocyte. So now the T lymphocytes will be converted into T delayed type of hypersensitivity cells. So the T lymphocytes which are responsible for delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction. So they are usually the T helper 1 cells, but sometimes they would be T helper 17 cells or T helper 2 cells, and sometimes CD8 cells also. So followed by the anti presentation of the processed antigen to the T lymphocyte, depending on the type of antigen, that will be converted into delayed type of T lymphocytes which are responsible for delayed type of hypersensitivity. And this delayed type of hypersensitivity T cells can produce certain cytokines. If you see the lowermost left box, these secretes varieties of cytokines like interferon gamma, which is very important cytokine. This cytokine will increases the killing effect of the macrophage. It's otherwise called, it causes for arming up of the macrophage. And interleukin 2 again produced by the activated lymphocytes and causes for the proliferation of the macrophages. And tumor necrosis factor alpha beta, tumor necrosis factor beta, and MCAF, that is monocyte chemotactic activating factor. So this MCAF and TNF beta both are responsible for recruitment of many more macrophages to the site of inflammation, and they will be recruited to the site of inflammation to perform their duties to remove that particular antigen. And then the MIF, that is migration inhibition factor, migration inhibition or macrophage migration inhibition factor is responsible for retention of the recruited phagocytic cells to the site of inflammation so that these macrophages can work more time on that particular recruited area and cause for the immunological responses. And IL-3 and granulocyte monocyte colony stimulating factor is responsible for the production of many more phagocytic cells. So with all these, with the help of all these cytokines, the macrophages will be continuously recruited to the site of necessity, and the macrophages gets armed up. If you see on the utmost right side lower, how the compare with the active macrophage of on left side, on the left corner of the macrophage and right lower corner of the macrophage, lot of receptors and lot of these things are seen on its surface, which can phagocytose the antigens effectively and cause for the killing of microorganisms. So the effect of macrophage activation is increased class 2 uh, major histocompatibility molecules to receive the antigens, and TNF increased tumor necrosis factor receptors, and oxygen radicals, increased oxygen radicals, increased nitric oxide radicals, all are responsible for increased activity of phagocytic cell. So this seen in two forms. One is contact dermatitis. How this will happen, this contact dermatitis? See, the nickel and prykryl chloride and the poison oak, these are the certain substances, are few substances which are having properties like hapten. Hapten is nothing but incomplete antigen. So this incomplete antigen, it on itself can't stimulate the T lymphocytes unless it's combined with the body proteins. So these haptens, when they combine with the body proteins, they become complete antigens, and these complete antigens will be taken up by the Langerhans cells, and these are again one more antigen presenting cell present in the skin. So these Langerhans cells present the antigen, complete antigen, to the T lymphocytes, and now the T lymphocytes get sensitized. Once they get sensitized, they produces TDTH type of cells. That's what I already mentioned. That is T lymphocytes of delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction mediated cells, and they activate the macrophages, releases the varieties of cytokines, causes for damage to the involved tissue. So when this TDTH cells are responsible for the damage, it will be manifested in the form of macules and papules to the vesicles with severe itching and redness, finally leads to necrosis after 2 to 3 days. On the right side photograph, if you see, in early stage of this reaction, you can see papular vesicular lesions. See the vesicles just like fluid filled vesicles like, and now the people suffer with the severe itching and redness, which results in necrosis followed by the scratching over that particular area, and this all will be taken about 2 to 3 days to appear. So when the people are suffering this kind of type 4 contact dermatitis, here you can see the earrings, the metal is having that kind of reaction. That means it's able to produce the TDTH type of cells, and resulting inflammatory process causes for this redness. And if you see here, the inner wear elastin causes for the kind of same kind of inflammatory response in the abdomen or on the waist. And talcum powder or some cosmetics which consists of certain chemicals, if they are not suitable to the skin, again you can see here how the redness is there. And here in the watch strap consists of nickel material, and this nickel also sometimes causes for the same type of reaction. So all these substances, when they combine with the body proteins after an application to the skin, and these substances can stimulate the T lymphocytes to produce delayed type of T lymphocytes, which can mediate delayed type of hypersensitivity, which is responsible for activated macrophages And these macrophages causes for all these kinds of inflammatory responses which are seen in the form of clinical manifestations. And another thing is this same delayed type of hypersensitivity has been exploited in diagnosis of certain conditions like tuberculosis. So this in this tuberculosis, which is a prototype for delayed type of hypersensitivity, here what we do is we will administer intradermally the tuberculin antigen, that is purified protein derivative. If you give this antigen intradermally, if already the individual is infected with the tuberculous bacilli and the sensitization occurs, then the delayed type of hypersensitivity type of T lymphocytes will be produced. So these will be there in the circulation. TDTH type of cells will be produced, followed by first exposure to the tuberculous bacilli. So now if you give this PPD intradermally, and this reaction between this antigen and the activated or sensitized T lymphocytes results in erythema and induration after 48 to 72 hours after the injection of this particular antigen, tuberculin antigen. And this results in erythema and induration. You can see on right side of the photograph erythema and induration on the skin where you are given the intradermal injection. This indicates the presence of DTH type of T lymphocytes due to the prior contact with the tuberculous bacilli. So by doing this test, and if you see the erythema and induration at the site of injection of PPD, you can say that the person is suffering with tuberculosis. So the take home message out of this topic is the type 1 reactions will occur between free antigen and self-fixed antibody, and this reaction results in degranulation of cells which leads to pathogenesis. Type 2 reactions will occur between self-fixed antigen and free antibody. The self-fixed antigen and free antibody which results in cytolysis and finally leads to the clinical manifestations. And type 3 reactions are due to the immune complex deposition on blood vessels, which causes for the complement activation and cell damage. And type 4 reactions are due to the cell mediated, these are also cytokine mediated cell damage, and this cytokine are only responsible for this one. And majority of the pathogenic processes which are routinely occurring followed by exposure to an antigen or any substance are involved either one of these mechanisms. So all the clinical manifestations in any case of immunological reactions mainly occurs either due to type 1 or type 2, type 3 or type 4 reactions. And remember, these hypersensitive reactions can't be cured, just we can control them and control their severity by giving the appropriate treatment in appropriate time. And prevention to exposure is a mainstay. Whenever the person is allergic to a particular substance, we have to prevent to expose that individual to that particular antigen. That's the only thing. But we can't cure completely from this kind of reactions. And this is one more take home message, that is beware of allergens. I cannot rescue. The angel even, that means the angel even is hands up in making the free from these hypersensitive reactions. So nobody can be free from hypersensitive reactions if they really suffering with hypersensitive reactions against the particular antigens. That means whenever you are suffering, people are suffering with hypersensitive reactions, you have to be careful about this thing. And whenever they succumb to the any kind of hypersensitive reactions, we can give the treatment only, but we cannot cure the individuals yeah, from the clinical manifestations, even though they got exposed to the antigens. That means the person should avoid the antigens which are allergic for them and which are responsible for hypersensitivity reactions. Thank you very much and Happy learning.